Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Sangster, Calvin. One second here. Director Sangster,
Yes.
Director Pavlox,
Yes.
Director Calvins,
Yes.
President Green.
Yes.
Passes 4-0 with one absent.
Continue discussion on assuming landscaping obligations for the lighting department as well as current planned projects in the lighting department. Mr. Dawes.
So, as you said, this is a continuation from last month. You guys asked for some better numbers and a list of projects and costs for those particular projects. So basically, if you look at the report, yeah, these numbers may be slightly off after the corrections that were made this last week for the, actually no, they wouldn't be because it's budget. So the budget for lighting, revenue-wise, is $113,842. $113,842. Their expense budget is $81,969, leaving a net positive of $31,873. So essentially, that's what could be available out of this current budget.
That doesn't include, when you say 81,000 in expenses, what does that include?
That is all budgeted operating expenses for like
Electricity.
personnel, equipment, insurance.
New lights?
New light.
New lighting? Additional lighting?
That 81,000 includes 24,000 for the replacement of the lights on Mission Street and the new lights that we already applied to put in. So there's no cost for the new lights that we already applied to put in, except for the actual electricity to run them.
Okay,
So out of this budget, or this fiscal year's budget, there's $24,000 to replace the lighting on Mission Street with LED lighting.
But what about the additional lighting that we've talked about throughout the district?
So the light, like I just said, the lights that we already applied to put in, so the ones that mainly the alleys, or the intersections of the alleys on the wood poles that already exist,
Right.
that's all accounted for.
Okay, and then there's additional lighting that we discussed
So
that don't have poles.
if you look at
that
the
we
second,
put in.
if you look at the second page,
Thank you.
so before we veer away from the budget, that budget is what is budgeted, that the board approved for lighting for this year.
Okay.
This additional lighting, if it comes back and is approved to be put in, then it would have a component to increase the electricity for that lighting. So, so on the second page, the lighting projects, the 24,000, like I just mentioned, was already in the budget. That's to replace the lighting on Mission Street with LEDs. The additional 8 street lights on the wood poles, there's no cost for that. They're going to put them up eventually, I presume. They're still waiting.
They're still around.
PG is still around here. They probably fired the guy that did the application. So. But the $1,632 to operate those 8 street lights for a year was included. So there will be some surplus from that because obviously they haven't put any, or almost halfway through the year. So the future but not budgeted projects are just an additional 10 street lights on new wood poles with overhead.
In town?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 street lights on new steel poles with underground. Additional lights on both ends of the River Road Bridge. The installation of 2 street lights at Case Street Park and Ride. That includes the $500 permit deposit, and they weren't sure whether or not we had to have an annual encroachment permit, but that's the cost, you know.
I think they would waive that.
Probably. They weren't very helpful.
Do what?
They weren't very helpful. So the ones at the park and ride would be new wood poles with overhead. the operating cost for all of those streetlights, assuming we did them all, and we had them all for a year, that'd be $2,448 for the
Okay.
power,
Additional or,
in addition to what we already have budgeted. So that 2448 would be in addition to actually putting them in.
I get that, okay, so right now, our annual cost of operating the lights is,
So right now, our budget for the lighting department is $81,969. So
but that's more than just electricity.
That's all operational?
Oh, that's all the operational
That's-
costs.
total operation of the lighting department.
Okay, so that would put us up to,
So if we added 2448 and
85.
1632.
1632,
So we're at roughly $86,000.
you're adding the 2448, 1632, and the 81,969?
Yeah.
Okay.
In
so
my head.
$86,049.
I trust you.
Missing that any?
It's 86 and change.
Right.
And our revenue is 113.
Correct.
You see that, foresee any changes in that?
Well, the power costs will be going up,
Right.
but street lighting costs have been fairly stable. So I imagine it might go up as much as $1 per street light, which would essentially round out to maybe $1,200 or $1,300 a year.
So that leaves us with like 27,000 surplus
Out of this budget.
out of this budget. But it's gonna be fairly stable, right?
Property taxes are increasing, so.
Thanks.
So the 113,000 is the low estimate from the county. The revised estimate was actually higher.
Okay.
But
Okay, so does everybody have a full understanding of that?
The only question I have is, does this budget and stuff include the, let's say we do, if the $200 is approved from lighting to water?
So this budget is what we're expecting to bring in this year and what we're expecting to spend. So the money that lighting has, or essentially had as of the 30th of June, is the money that basically is being borrowed from lighting to go to water.
And that
So,
was 400.
480, 750, 19.
That's a reserve.
That's
reserve.
lighting's reserve.
Yeah.
So it's essentially borrowing half of lighting's reserve
Okay,
to
so we're-
to fund the loan.
Public comment?
Sounds good to me.
So I didn't even get to finish.
No, you
Sorry.
didn't finish.
Oh, I thought you were done.
Now for the rest of the story.
Another
Wish
paragraph.
I was done. So, based on the conversation last time, since last time, we've moved forward with making a plan. You guys asked to see a plan, a planning plan, and a irrigation plan. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull that together by right. So, but we are making progress. So we have a clean plan. Mike and Mickey are working on a planting plan based on the county's planting standards. Once I have that back, we can finalize an irrigation plan. We're hopefully would be able to move forward.
Planting standards and irrigation plan.
We don't have the irrigation, but we have some people with the plants.
So they pulled all the plants together,
Now
got them all working.
The
replace them on
the plants or the plants?
Plants.
Plants.
Are they succulents?
Not all of them.
Sorry,
No,
They're,
Are there,
they're all
they're
drought
drought
tolerant.
tolerant,
okay,
yes.
and what about height?
In terms of height, the only ones that tend to get a little high are the rock roses. Those are easily amended.
Right, but if you don't plant them in the bulbs out here,
Right, if they're not in the section where people have to have a view and access to the street, those
Yeah.
corner
the
sections.
stop signs, yeah.
Yeah, so
Then
we'll-
you're fine. All the rest of them tend to be, like the lavenders tend to get up to about 2.5 to 3, feet. And that is about the.
The max is 3
max.
feet. The county's max is 3 feet. So we always cut it back to 3 feet, and we have to do it here on these both corners right now.
Interestingly enough, the county put plants in, which you see over at 11th, on that side, on that end, that don't comply with those standards.
Right.
And it has to be trimmed down consistently, but that was not what we did, that was what the county placed in there themselves.
So basically at this point, where we're at is we're creating the plan, and then we can get a better idea of what our total costs are. After reviewing more of the information that we have and what's actually there, I think that if the board was to move forward and allow us to take over the landscaping, what we could do is probably, with the initial $20,000 that the chamber has already been awarded from the county, that if we're allowed to move forward, we can use, if we use district staff to do the repairs, then the $20,000 would cover the materials. We would still need some support from the chamber to help do the planting. But I think that we could achieve it with the $20,000, and any excess would probably easily be gotten from water conservation, because it'd be more at a manageable level, maybe around $10,000 level. We still have the support of water conservation, so if we need to go for more, then we can go for more.
Well, wasn't there was a grant with a time frame?
So they have a grant. Their time frame is basically the fiscal year, so July of 2020.
Oh, that's good.
But we need to, show some progress, or they're not going to be very thrilled about it.
Well,
But,
so you were talking about a planting standard, an irrigation plan, and then there's gotta be a maintenance plan also.
So the other part of this report is estimates on the maintenance. So it was the direction of the board last month that you didn't want district staff doing that. And although we can do it, I agree that it'd be more beneficial to have a contractor do it, and it could be on their liability, and they're done. Essentially, what I have estimated is that if we do the 3 different things that we talked about, Mission Street, the Gateway Signs, and Father Angel Park, it would essentially amount to $8,200 a year to have a contractor out. It possibly could be less if we're able to work out a better deal with them, or the scope is reduced. The other option that the board was looking at last month was if they ever develop Mission Street on the east side. So essentially I mirrored the cost of the west side for the east side, which was another $4,800. So if we do all of that, if that's all built at some point, then that would roughly be $13,000 a year in maintenance cost.
All the
Just
estimates,
maintenance, 13,000.
all the estimates provided by the same company?
Yeah, they're all verbal by the same company.
They're willing to give us a better price if we commit to all of it, minus the east?
I'd imagine these were just basic prices by scope, discussed scope of funds. So
Back up.
if we have an actual written scope, it would probably be less.
Yeah.
Okay, back up a second. You said 1,800 for maintenance?
No, I said 82
$8,200 annually.
8,200.
for what exists currently.
Mission East doesn't exist currently.
Right?
I believe we'll be able to get it cheaper than
And
that.
if it's all done at the same relative time, they can send somebody out here and do for a day and do all of it, then it would probably be less. If we have them come out here at different times and different whatevers, and they keep coming out, that's where you're driving your costs.
Well, what exactly has to be done at the gateway signs?
Well, not a whole lot. That's why it's a quarterly cost. So just once every 3 or 4 months, to go out there, weed whack,
Make that
kick the dead snakes, whatever.
Just keep the weeds down.
And it may be that we only need to go out there every 6 months, or maybe once a year. I mean, nobody's been out there so far as I know, so.
There's weeds, so it's 8,000. But if
You
you
need
double
double
it,
that.
it's 13,000.
No, it's 8,200, but if you add the other side of Mission Street, which is 4,800, then it's 13,000.
That doesn't exist.
So that the other
Oh, I
east
see
side
what
of
you're
Mission
saying,
Street
I see,
doesn't
okay,
exist.
I got it now, all right, it's been a long day, okay. So 13.
When we started, we had a quote of $200 a month to take care of from 11th to 14th. A month.
Did that include trimming the trees though?
No.
Say, we need to do that too, if they're not gonna. I mean, the lights they put out there don't even light the street, cause the trees are consuming them.
We had the trees trimmed for $800.
All of them?
Yes.
Oh, that's not bad.
So again, once we have a defined plan and a defined scope, the cost could be considerably less. And at that point, it would need to go out for at least 3 bids.
And you still are looking for irrigation plan, the cost of irrigation?
So once I have the planting plan, then we can do an irrigation plan, and then we can figure out the exact cost of that.
That, you're talking about their water too.
Well, the irrigation plan would be the,
Right, but what about the
yeah,
water?
so the irrigation plan would show where it is and what we need to change from what's existing.
You need to change everything.
Maybe,
You can tear it out. Get rid of it. It's,
well, there's ways to use things that are still in the ground, so we can use the old pipes with sleeves, which could save us money. If you go in and you say, you know, I'm just gonna rip it all out, you find the end of the line and you just keep cutting until you get to the other end, that's one way to do it too. But that's not the most efficient way or the cheapest way to do
well,
it.
no, but if it's inferior materials, then why
Well, what you
go
can
back
do-
and dig holes later?
Well, what you can do is you can use a 2-inch or a 2-inch pipe as a conduit and push a new 1.5-inch line in. If you're putting in drip, you don't need a 2-inch line for 3 blocks.
It's low pressure.
So, yeah, it's all low pressure and you're changing your dynamic. So if you're only flowing 10 gallons a minute as opposed to 40 gallons a
And
minute,
then what about the emitters? Who's gonna maintain those?
well, that'd be part of your landscaping contractor. So they would,
Okay.
you know, if we see one, then we could go out and change one, but if they're out doing their weekly or monthly maintenance, then,
Well, that would include kicking the water on and checking it out.